สวัสดีครับ I am Jack ปริญญารุ่นประพันธ์
ส่วนดิฉันสวัยฉัตรกุลชรนิติยาชีวแพทย์นะคะเราสองคนต้องขอต้อนรับท่านแขกผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านนะคะที่อยู่ภายใน Royal Paragon Hall แห่งนี้รวมถึงทุกท่านค่ะที่กำลังรับชมผ่านออนไลน์ YouTube GC จากทั่วทุกมุมโลกนะคะได้เข้าสู่งาน GC Sustainable Living Symposium 2023 We Are Gen S ค่ะ
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to all of our distinguished guests here today at the Royal Paragon Hall here in Bangkok, Thailand, and also to everyone joining us across the globe online at GC's YouTube channel for the GC Sustainable Living Symposium 2023, We Are Gen S.
ก็จะเห็นได้ว่านะคะนี่คือการกลับมาของปรากฏการณ์ซิมโพเซียมอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะงานเดียวที่เราจะได้ทำการเรียนรู้เรื่องราวนะคะตั้งแต่แนวคิดไปจนถึงการปฏิบัติของ40ตัวจริงทั้งในประเทศและต่างประเทศค่ะร่วมพลคน Gen S Standing for Sustainability นะคะที่จะร่วมมือกันสร้างแรงกระเพื่อมให้เรานั้นได้ใช้ชีวิตแบบยั่งยืนหรือว่า Sustainability Living เพื่อโลกของเรานะคะงานนี้ก็เลยถือเป็นที่สุดของความร่วมมือครั้งสำคัญของบริษัท PTT Global Chemical จำกัดมหาชนหรือว่า GC นะคะที่ได้ทำการจับมือพันธมิตรของเราทั้งภาครัฐภาคเอกชนและคน Gen S ค่ะที่ไม่ว่าคุณจะอายุเท่าไหร่หรือประกอบอาชีพอะไรนะคะคุณก็สามารถที่จะช่วยทำให้โลกนี้ดีขึ้นเพราะความยั่งยืนคือทางรอดเดียวของโลกค่ะ
That's right. This marks the return of this year's most significant symposium, the only event where you will learn both conceptual and practical applications by 40 local and international speakers. Additionally, you will witness the gathering of Gen S, standing for sustainability, altogether encouraging sustainable living for our world. Now, along with the robust collaboration between PTT Global Chemical Public Company Limited, or GC, partners from both government and private sectors, and the Gen S community, it's time to unite in creating a better world, regardless of our age or profession. Why? The answer is simple. Because sustainability is the only way out for our world.
เห็นด้วยอย่างยิ่งนะคะคุณแจ็คคะวันนี้ค่ะเราเองก็ได้รับเกียรตินะคะจากท่านเอกอัครราชทูตฟินแลนด์ประจำประเทศไทยนะคะซึ่งเดี๋ยวอีกสักครู่หนึ่งท่านจะได้ขึ้นมากล่าวเปิดงานอย่างเป็นทางการนะคะแต่ว่าอยากจะเล่าให้ฟังถึงประเทศฟินแลนด์กันสักนิดหนึ่งเชื่อว่าหลายท่านในที่นี้นะคะก็คงจะทราบกันดีอยู่แล้วว่าประเทศฟินแลนด์ถือเป็นประเทศที่มีประชากรที่มีความสุขมากที่สุดของโลกและในแง่ของการพัฒนาประเทศอย่างยั่งยืนค่ะประเทศฟินแลนด์เองนั้นก็เป็นที่หนึ่งเช่นเดียวกันนะคะเพราะว่าล่าสุดจากรายงาน Sustainable Development Report 2023 เนี่ยก็ระบุชัดเจนเลยว่าประเทศที่มีการพัฒนาอย่างยั่งยืนที่ดีที่สุดในปีนี้ก็คือประเทศฟินแลนด์ค่ะ
That's right. Many of you know Finland as the happiest country in the world. It's also renowned for its preeminent position in sustainable development. And according to the Sustainable Development Report 2023, Finland holds the top position in sustainable development globally. So on this occasion, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome on stage His Excellency Jyri Järviaho, Ambassador to the Republic of Finland in Thailand.
ขอเสียงปรบมือต้อนรับท่านด้วย
Distinguished participants, thank you so very much for your kind introduction from our MCs. And also very warm thanks to PTT Global Chemicals for a very timely Sustainable Living Symposium, We Are Generation S. I'm very glad to be here today with all of you to share our common ideas for climate, biodiversity, circularity, sustainability of our societies for the better world. Let me also start by saying that unfortunately, these themes are not anymore a nice choice we can select, but an urgent necessity for our species and the planet. We are Generation S. We must take the lead. The United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals adopted by all UN member states in 2015, provides shared goals for peace and prosperity for the people and for the planet. According to UN Secretary General 23 report, the impact of climate crisis, the war in Ukraine, a weak global economy, and the lingering effects of COVID-19 pandemic have revealed weaknesses and hindering progress towards the goals. An annual index, which was mentioned earlier here, monitoring the progress by countries, is also produced by Professor Jeffrey Sachs and company of the UN Sustainable Solutions Network. In this SDG index, Finland ranks number 1 in progressing towards its sustainable development goals, followed by its Nordic friends, Sweden and Denmark. Why Finland performs strongly in sustainable development goals? Strong social welfare system, high quality education, innovation and technology, gender equality, sustainable practices in climate and renewable energy, functioning democracy, political stability and good governance, as well as international cooperation in support others in reaching their goals. Those are some of the items we are doing well in Finland. Of course, challenges remain for us as well. Some of the Finland's challenges are related to consumption and production patterns, climate action and biodiversity. In Finland, carbon sinks are an important part of our zero carbon future. Carbon sinks are practically our forests, peatlands, farmlands and so forth. In order to become firstly carbon neutral, later carbon zero, and finally carbon negative, we need to keep good care of our forests that are spreading out some 75% of our landmass. Growing forests are best carbon sinks, and wood forms a long-lasting carbon storage. Naturally, forests are the basis of our rich biodiversity as well. Science has shown that resource extraction is responsible for half of the world's carbon emissions and 80% of biodiversity loss. Our planet has limits on its resources, and we must tear our societies away from the linear economies of extract, produce, use, and waste. We have seen that all material have value, and most of it can be reused, some even several times. Waste to value makes new business to flourish in recycling. In addition, we may not need to own everything in the future. Consider solutions for sharing economy. Maybe we don't need to own a car. Rather, use transportation as a service, and many other innovative solutions. In fact, Finland was the first country to create national circular economy strategy, a roadmap, in 2016. Since then, many things have happened in Finland. In most of the Finnish cities, only marginal amounts of waste go to landfills. Items like bottles, cans, plastic, paper, cardboard, metal, organic waste are circulated, and the rest is burned for energy. For example, glass and plastic bottles and metal cans circulation is over 93% in Finland. Each empty bottle is worth 15 or 40 euro cents, and people happily return the bottles to vending machines that exist practically in every grocery store. For climate, Finnish government has set an ambitious climate targets to become carbon neutral by 2035 and carbon zero by 2050. The key pillar of Finland's climate policy is the National Climate Change Act that entered into force in July 22, setting specific emission reduction targets for 2030, 2040 and 2050. Various organizations, companies, cities have set their own climate targets. Like for example, city of Lahti, city of 100,000 people, aims to become carbon neutral already in 2025. For example, they have abandoned using coal for their district heating, and their district heating system these days is totally emissions-free. They circulate communal and industrial waste effectively, leaving only about 1% waste to landfill. They inspired their citizens to participate by using bikes and public transportation instead of private cars. In 1970s, Lake Vesijärvi in Lahti was the most polluted lake in Finland. But due to conservation work and long-term efforts, the lake is now in a very good condition. Lahti was chosen as a European Green Capital in 2021. More than 70% of Finland's greenhouse gas emissions come from energy sector. The other main resources of emissions include agriculture, industrial processes, product use, and waste management. Renewable energy accounts for 44% of Finland's total energy consumption in 22. Most of this comes from wood-based energy sources. Other sources of renewable energy include wind, water, and solar power. Of these, wind and solar energy production has grown rapidly in recent years. According to current projections, wind power will be the greatest energy source in Finland by the year 2027 already. Nuclear energy is also low carbon energy. Our fifth nuclear reactor, 1,600 megawatt Olkiluoto 3, started its operations just this year, producing some 15% of Finnish electricity needs. With renewable electricity production increasing, there are also plans to start large-scale green hydrogen production in Finland. These plans would entail making some 10% of hydrogen production in European Union market by the year 2030. In this year's climate summit in Dubai, so-called COP28, in November-December, Europe will be proposing phasing out of unabated fossil fuels. Finland has already committed to phasing out coal totally by 2030. Phasing out all fossil fuels will not happen overnight, we know that. But we know the road to net zero emissions will require a complete changeover of our energy production and usage. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has issued a serious warning for the world. The world is off track to Paris agreed climate target of 1.5 Celsius increase on the world average temperatures. Urgent and enhanced efforts are needed since we have passed already 1 Celsius increase in temperature and are witnessing serious effects on our climate around the globe. Far-sighted leadership is now needed by the public and private sector to deal with these challenges and to build a zero-carbon, climate-resilient, circular economies. This means practically decarbonizing every economic sector by 2050 in a just and lasting way, enhancing adaptive capacity and protecting natural capital to create a future based on clean, secure, affordable energy. Cities and communities in which people can move and breathe freely, easily, resilient and productive agriculture, and dynamic green industries and jobs. One thing that has changed the energy sector in Europe profoundly in the last few years is the Russian aggression war in Ukraine. As a result, Europe will have to think again its reliance on fossil fuels as well as on business reliance on countries run by authoritative leaderships. The resulted EU sanctions and Russian counter-sanctions have accelerated the European energy transition towards sustainable green energy sources. Also, Finland's oil, gas and electricity imports from Russia have ceased. The change is becoming permanent, and the new energy sources, new business models are created as we speak. Europe aims at becoming the first climate-neutral continent by 2050. European Green Deal, and Europe's Fit for 55 set the goals high for the European countries, regions and cities, and as well as companies. EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism just came into force and will affect all companies around the globe, including Thailand, doing business with Europeans. Important part of the EU emissions reduction targets is the emission trade.
ปล่อยก๊าซเรือนกระจกในเรื่องของเศรษฐกิจหมุนเวียนที่เพิ่มมากขึ้นเนี่ยก็คงจะเป็นส่วนหนึ่งที่เราต้องให้ความสำคัญมีการคำนวณนะครับว่าอุตสาหกรรมสำคัญต่างๆที่ต้องใช้วัตถุดิบนะครับเช่นเหล็กซีเมนต์พลาสติกอลูมิเนียมก็จะสามารถที่จะลดการปล่อยก๊าซเรือนกระจกได้ถึง
According to research from Accenture Consulting, the circular economy could generate some 4.5 trillion US dollars worth of additional economic output by 2030. It's very clear that this will be a fast-growing, lucrative business within just a few years. Ladies and gentlemen, issues of climate change, biodiversity loss, and circularity cannot be solved in isolation, and they are all interlinked. We need each other, we need global actions and solutions, and deeper cooperation. Finland was in the forefront in promoting circular economy by initiating the World Circular Economy Forum in 2017. And this year, the forum was held in Helsinki in May. Finnish Innovation Fund Sitra and Nordic Innovation were organizers of the event. In the forum, various new ideas were put forward, including deeper collaboration of international financial institutions in circular economy projects. UNDP presented their report on sustainability and circularity in textile industry. Circular Buildings Coalition presented their report on towards a circular economy in the building environment, and so on. We have also realized that to accelerate the circular economy, companies also need new skills and education. They need also political support, such as regulatory and taxation frameworks. Currently, many governments not only fail to tax their linear economy appropriately, but also subsidize it, thus hindering the needed transition. It's important that corrective measures by taxation and regulation are actively promoted to support already existing circular economy solutions from the business and private side. Clear policies will encourage investments in circular economy. Today, I'm afraid only a very limited number of companies fully understand their impact on nature and people. Every country, every city, every company, and finally, all of us individually need a path towards carbon neutral circular economy. For companies, environmental accounting is just as important as financial accounting. Apart from regulatory and law framework, companies in Finland and in Europe face the pressure from their clients and shareholders to become fully sustainable, aiming towards zero emissions and become fully circular, including their value and supply chains around the world. In Thailand, the bio-circular and green economy has been promoted. Various industries are looking into how to become sustainable and carbon-free in the next few years. The world is in major green transition, and Thailand is certainly changing with it. Finland and Thailand have agreed an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, in circular economy cooperation between the countries. We will work together in providing innovations, solutions, expertise to one another. Our companies operate globally and face the same issues. We are partners in circular solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are Generation S, and we will change the world's development path towards a more sustainable one. Thank you very much for your attention. Kap.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Jyri Jäähiaho, Ambassador of the Republic of Finland to Thailand.
ท่านเองก็รู้สึกยินดีนะคะที่ได้มางานดีๆเช่นนี้ซึ่งก็ทำให้เราได้ตระหนักว่าเราจะต้องร่วมกันเป็นคน Gen S นะคะ Stand for Sustainability แล้วก็ท่านก็ได้เล่าให้ฟังถึงปัจจัยสำคัญที่ทำให้ประเทศฟินแลนด์เนี่ยมีการพัฒนายั่งยืนเป็นอันดับหนึ่งนะคะก็อย่างเช่นในเรื่องของ welfare ที่ดีเรื่องของการศึกษาที่ดีนะคะหรือว่าเทคโนโลยีต่างๆนะคะที่สามารถช่วยในเรื่องของการพัฒนาความยั่งยืนได้แต่ทั้งนี้ทั้งนั้นสิ่งที่ท้าทายยิ่งกว่านั้นนะคะคือการคงความเป็นที่หนึ่งและจะทำอย่างไรให้ประเทศอื่นๆเนี่ยสามารถร่วมกันเป็นผู้นำกับเราได้ด้วยนะคะดังนั้นความร่วมมือจึงเป็นเรื่องที่สำคัญนะคะสำหรับลำดับต่อไปค่ะเราเองนั้นก็ยังได้รับเกียรติค่ะจากประธานเจ้าหน้าที่บริหารและกรรมการผู้จัดการใหญ่บริษัท PTT Global Chemical จำกัดมหาชนค่ะ
And next, please welcome to the stage the CEO and President of PTT Global Chemical Public Company Limited, Dr. Kongkrapan Intarajang.
สวัสดีครับ Good morning, Your Excellency Yuri Yaviaho, the Ambassador of Republic of Finland to Thailand, executives from public, private, and academic sectors, esteemed speakers, business partners, sustainability partners, and guests from all over the country listening here or joining online. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of PTT Global Chemical, it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to GC Sustainable Living Symposium 2023. We are Gen S, standing for sustainability. We are all aware that we have a big problem with our climate. We have invented fancy descriptions for it, like global warming or now global boiling. But let me explain to you in a simple way the severity of the problem that we have. Earth is a spaceship. We are living on it. It's the only place that we can live. And Earth is wandering through the dark, vast, and empty space. And it has a very delicate life-supporting system, which is our atmosphere. If we can imagine Earth as the size of a football, you will understand that the atmosphere is as thin as a quarter of a millimeter. So very thin and very delicate. And we passengers have been doing a lot of things to screw up that life supporting system, so you can get the picture. And we have learned that greenhouse gas emissions are the main causes. The top 3 contributing sectors are energy, agriculture, and industrial process and product uses. The energy sector, including power, manufacturing, residential, and transportation, is responsible for more than 75% of the emissions. Agriculture, mainly rice farming, livestock methane emission, fertilized soil emissions, it all contributes around 12%. Industrial process and product use accounts for about 6%. Now Thailand, we have released less than 1% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, but bad news, unfortunately, we are in the top 10 most risky countries with impact from climate change. But I believe we can tackle the problem with 2 approaches: energy transition, circular and bio-based solutions or economy. For energy transition, it would include examples like enhancing energy efficiency, adopting cleaner energy sources, and implementing carbon sequestration technologies. For circular economy, it means that we have to really embrace the concept of reduce, reuse, and recycle in most everything we do, whatever we can in everyday's life and also in the value chain, supply chain. One illustrative example would be the transition from traditional farming to low carbon agriculture, especially in the area of low carbon rice farming. This shift would greatly benefit Thailand as we are top 3 rice producing countries. Another example is the potential of bio-based solutions. Thailand is one of the most biodiversity-rich countries. So the bio-solutions can greatly help to create value added to the country's agricultural products, and at the same time aligning with Thailand's BCG economy model. These strategies and solutions could become our new growth engine, but at the same time to help Thailand to take the pathway, to take the lead, hopefully to transform itself into low carbon economy like Finland, and to help us to reach our net zero target. Now let me give you a little bit flavor of today's and tomorrow's event. In this GC Sustainable Living Symposium, our primary focus would be around tangible outcomes of energy transition and circular economy approaches. You will be hearing global perspectives. You'll be witnessing best practices, sharing, and you will hopefully learn a lot of things, a lot of new business opportunities from more than 40 renowned speakers from all over the world and from many sectors. And outside, some of you probably have walked around and visited already, but some of you who have not, I would like to recommend that you spend some time to visit all this area, what we call Sustainability Experience Zone. So let me give you some example. In the Wonder Lab, it's really wonderful. You can experience, you can discover a lot of innovations and how chemical innovation and plastic innovation can lead us into the low carbon solutions. And in the journey of amazing waste, first you have to do some tests to see that what kind of lifestyle you are embarking on, and that lifestyle tends to create what kind of waste, and how you can introduce or embark on circularity to help to solve that issues. In the net zero hero arena, it's more like a game show. You have to be in the competition and you can test yourself how good you are at the knowledge of sustainability or net zero. And in the sustainability village, you can explore the new ways how to collaborate and how to incorporate sustainability in your everyday life. So I hope that this GC Sustainable Living Symposium can inspire and can intrigue. How can we practically change the world by just doing what you do every day, starting from everyday's life? And I hope that this generation Generation S, standing for sustainability, would be the generation that is remembered as the one who makes the change, the ones who change the course and help to save the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kongkrapan Intaratjang, CEO and President of PTT Global Chemical Public Company Limited.
เมื่อสักครู่ดร.คงกระพันธ์ก็พูดถึงเรื่องปัญหาscale ปัญหาของโลกที่กำลังมี global warming หรือ global boiling นะครับแล้วก็เล่าถึงเรื่องปัจจัยหลักๆที่จะมาเป็น contributing factors ของนี้ไม่ว่าจะเป็นจากอุตสาหกรรมจากการขนส่งจากการก่อสร้างและการเกษตรด้วยนะครับแล้วก็ลองมีวิธี
how we can find solutions like okay, we're going to come up with, circular economy, renewable energy, carbon dioxide sequestration, you stock up, you store carbon dioxide. So I would like to invite each and everyone, to see the exposition outside so you can learn more about the problems that we are all facing and how we can, work together to solve the problem. Now, next is another important session on how we can pass on a better world, so it's on global perspective and inspiration.
It's a talk on the topic of global perspective and inspiration by Energy Transition and Sustainability Global Lead from Accenture. So please put your hands together and welcome Mr. David Rapley.
Good morning, everybody. Absolute pleasure to join you today. Congratulations to Kun Kongkrapan, to GC, to putting on this phenomenal event. Unbelievable and super exhibit that you've got outside. Really, really great to see the momentum and the energy and what you're doing to drive forward in terms of sustainability. So I have the privilege to join you for a few minutes. I'm going to share a little bit of our thinking in terms of where we are globally in the journey of energy transition, give you some suggestions to consider for how you personally, whether you're at work or you're at home, can think about making a difference in terms of sustainability, and also give a little bit of a guidance into where we're going in this complicated journey. Unbelievable speech earlier from the ambassador of Finland. Finland is absolutely leading the way forward in terms of energy transition and sustainability. I learned a lot of things from what you were saying, and congratulations on your successful rankings. Now, let me lay it out in as simple a way as I can. So the energy transition is not about the eradication of fossil. It is not a simple story. Kun Kongkrapan mentioned it's moving from a linear system to a much more diversified, a much more integrated system of energies. And the way we like to think about that is it's really balancing across three priorities. Sustainability is one, and that's really what we're talking about today. But in addition, energy security and energy affordability. And as we've seen over the course of the last few years, we have been moving globally in terms of the narrative, the decisions, the actions that have been taken by many of the stakeholders in the world of energy, and they have been changing. We have had the opportunity to work through the period of COVID. We've seen the implication of weaponizing energy around the world. And as a result, we have seen a movement from early in the previous decade through the early 2020s in terms of how the energy system is being considered. Many people have mentioned COP28, which is coming in a couple of weeks' time. And I'm very sure in that event we'll be discussing how to have an orderly and a managed energy transition. An energy transition that does not provide reliable, affordable energy to tomorrow's populations, today's underserved communities, is not going to be one that as societies we're able to move forward on. So very, very important when we move forward, we are balancing these priorities. That balance will continue to shift. For the next few years, I am optimistic. We are towards the center of that triangle on the left. Now, how have companies such as PTT, some of the international majors, many of the oil and gas companies and energy companies been thinking about this transition? At events like this, when you listen to the narratives, we're becoming very much more coherent in terms of talking about the importance of reinventing for tomorrow's energy system. A few years ago, that really wasn't the case. So I think there's a lot of optimism around how we're thinking about moving forward. However, there's been a challenge. Part of our energy system is still recovering from the last decade. We were not able to invest at the required levels in many of the energy types that we need for the future because of the pricing environment, because of, in some cases, companies such as PTT being somewhat excluded from participating 100% in the opportunities ahead. So there's been a challenge. For example, in Q2 of this year, the 6 largest energy companies in the world, they returned 15 times more money to their shareholders than they were able to invest in low carbon and sustainable solutions. 15 times. So we have to find a way to make the energy transition investable. We have to find a way to balance the different systems. There is no path that doesn't include every energy type going forward. So what does that mean? It means that we need to be figuring out how do we support the energy needs of today through resilience, and we need to be reinventing for the energy of tomorrow. Many companies are expecting as much as a 10 times increase in the amount of investment they make in tomorrow's energies between now and 2030. Now, what is that going to do for us? Look, today, the global energy system runs on the equivalent of about 250 million barrels of oil a day. Okay? So 100 million of that is oil and gas, is oil. 70 million of that is gas. And the 80 million is coal. In 2023, we are going to see record levels of consumption of oil, of gas, and of coal. So are we making the progress that we need going forward? The answer at this point is we have moved very far and very quickly on some dimensions of the energy transition, of sustainability. The adoption of EVs, for example, is exceeding expectations. The adoption of wind and solar is running ahead, in some cases, of the scenarios we need. But just this week, the International Energy Authority came out and they said we are on track, unfortunately, for a 2.4 degree increase in the year 2100. So a lot still to be done in terms of progressing. So we're looking in Accenture at how to navigate the transition, but also how to grow. Companies need to be delivering value through the transition, as well as meeting the objectives that they are setting. For the first time, I was pleased to see that the growth opportunities in low carbon, so think biofuels, think circular, think blue hydrogen, and zero carbon energy types exceed, by 2030, exceed the growth potential in the traditional business. So this is now a number that can no longer be ignored. The future of growth for us is lying beyond today's system. And so it is incredibly important that we figure out together how to capitalize and to move forward. The good news is that sustainability behaviors, sustainability actions, sustainability cultures are themselves a pathway to delivering on that growth. So from the research that we have undertaken, we've seen that companies with the leading quartile of ESG performance actually outperform. So this isn't just about doing good for society, which is important. It also makes great business sense. 3.7 times higher score in operating margin, 2.6 times higher score in return to shareholders, higher engagement scores, higher stock price scores. So across the board, the evidence is very, very clear. Growth means embracing sustainability actions and behaviors, and value for society, value for companies is now residing at the center of both of those. So what can be done? Wait for the slide. So 3 things are very, very important to keep in mind as you move forward. And so we see these as the 3 lenses essentially necessary to move ahead. Cleaning the core, accelerating the transition, and extending the frontier. I'm sure everyone in this room is working on some version of this. Now, what do I mean by this? Cleaning the core means working with what you have. Today's infrastructure, today's assets, today's value chain. 44% of the emissions reduction needed by 2050 has to be delivered by infrastructure that already exists. Okay? 44% is going to come from what we already have. So we have to work with that, right? We have to make that efficient. The IEA is asking us collectively by 2030 to double our efforts in efficiency from where we stand today. So do not think for one second that sustainability is entirely around something new, something you don't have, something expensive. It is about working with what you have, being able to finance that, being able to deploy technology, maybe digital solutions to optimize how you're using those assets. Because guys, let's be realistic. We will invest in opportunities that drive value and money for us and benefit society. The second thing, very, very important, is we need to act now to invest in those areas that make commercial sense to us, that drive value. What we call accelerate the transition. We have seen massive reductions in the levelized cost of clean electricity generation. We have seen huge opportunities in terms of gas as a transition fuel in reducing our dependency on coal. We are seeing, and there are many, many good examples today outside in the exhibition, phenomenal examples of deploying circularity and circular solutions, which was rightly pointed out as absolutely fundamental to driving value. But we need to do more. We need to invest in those opportunities that make sense now. And that list is just growing and growing and growing. Accenture and many others are calling for a tripling of the capacity of zero-emission electricity generation by the year 2030. A very, very important step, because at the core of the transition of systems, electrification and clean electricity with low carbon intensity is at the very center. The third priority, and this will touch on the theme of innovation, which I know is a big topic for today's conference, is extending this frontier. It's bringing the energies and the technologies of tomorrow into today's reality. And here there is, again, a lot of optimism I have in terms of the innovation and the commitment of companies like GC in terms of moving forward. We are seeing in pockets around the world truly viable, commercially functioning CCUS solutions. I came today from Houston, Texas, and I have to say that if I was up on this stage 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't have had a lot to say that was great about how the United States was approaching the energy transition. But in the last 2 years, the Inflation Reduction Act, I think, reset and opened many people's eyes into what could be done. Rather than adopting a pure carbon price mechanism, it said, wait a minute, let's see, how can we subsidize, how can we incent, how can we drive entrepreneur and innovation activities against the opportunities of the energy transition? And as a result, It is now commercially viable to extract emissions from cement companies, from steel companies, to transport them and to sequester that carbon near permanently in North America. And I think there's a lot of value in looking at how, as you move forward, you work together with the public and the private sectors to find those great opportunities to bring forward and to extend the transition. So think in terms of those three things. In your business life, how are we thinking about balancing that? And I suggest not to be only on the left, not to be only on the right, but to have that combination. Now, second, I did want to talk about an experience we had recently of encouraging change at a much, much smaller level. Because there's a lot that can be done within your context, at your home life, in your work life, to build sustainability into the fabric of your organization. And we step back and we ask ourselves, what does that mean? How can we help drive the leadership and the culture necessary to demonstrate the right behaviors and to practically turn that into action? 4 things really stood out to us in terms of making that possible. The org design and the operating model of the company needs to embrace sustainability at its core. Sustainability is a strategy for success. I've just talked about how companies that are leading in this dimension see all of the performance metrics that we need to achieve. But it also requires the right level of change enablement, so how we make change and transformation at the center of our approach. We need to have the right knowledge and skills, and we need to have the right recognition and support for people who are delivering on that priority. In combination, those 4 deliver a change. Now, we worked with one of a very, very large energy company that has its headquarters in Houston, Texas. And we worked with them to define what does that journey look like for them as individuals. Because they came to us and said, at the corporate level, we get it. We think we're investing in the right things. But can we make it real for our people? How can they see that we are committed? And so we worked with them to develop a 5-step journey. And at the center of it was a digital solution that essentially navigated through a series of opportunities, of challenges, of games in some cases, for them to do during the course of just those 4 weeks, for them to think on their personal opportunities. And sometimes it was simple things. It was to say, okay, let's take one of the PET bottles that we have today. What can be done with this bottle to reuse it in a totally different fashion? And people started coming back with plant pots, with equipment for the home, in terms of many, many applications, because it opened the mind to think around what could you be doing personally for circularity. We worked with them to increase awareness of their personal carbon footprint. How do they manage that? What makes a difference? What do they need to track? What do you evolve in their life? And so we experimented. And through the course of that, I was amazed to see, just in 4 weeks, how people changed. And so we grouped initially the hundreds of people into 4 categories, asking, are they really just beginning their sustainability journey, beginning to learn, kind of unfamiliar with the language of the solutions? Are they ready to be a green transitioner? Are they looking at adopting, but maybe need a bit of guidance in terms of where to go? Are they starting to get this down as a practitioner, familiar with the concepts, engaging on a whole range of solutions? Or are they really standing out already as a champion? So we conducted a survey with the hundreds of people, and we looked initially, what was that distribution? And you can see within just 4 weeks, by taking a focused approach, working with a large number of people, not just leaving it to the few, but providing that support, we're able to turn around this group. 89% of people scored highly in the top 2 categories after just 4 weeks. I think that was amazing to see, but to me it brought home an example of how small changes, small awareness, and support from your company and your leadership makes a massive, massive difference in terms of delivering on everyone's personal agenda. So I wanted to leave you just with these 5 thoughts. So number 1, the priorities to deliver on sustainability are everybody's priority. But it means a balance. It means balancing between sustainability, security, and affordability, and within that, helping leading companies such as GC to build resilience in the core business, which is going to drive a lot of the emissions reduction through efficiency, and reinventing for the new. Leading enterprises are accelerating the tangible actions towards sustainability, taking a practical approach, sometimes enabled by technology, sometimes experimenting with a new approach. But we need that. We need that practical action. Third point, good sustainability is good business. It's not an either or, it's the right thing to do, but it's also the best path forward. The data shows it, and it supports your actions, your ambitions in going forward. It's not going to happen truly by itself. Strong commitment requires strong skills, strong knowledge, strong support. And I think events like today convince me that you have that same mindset in terms of moving forward. And then finally, it requires all of us collectively to collaborate. GC is in an unbelievable position in the value chain. You provide the products or the base chemicals necessary to transform many, many people's lives. But you also work with energy suppliers, you work with others, you work with your peers. So really think about collaborating. We're going to have to find a very different set of approaches and solutions going forward to the past. So I leave you with a great sense of optimism. Many, many congratulations on today's conference. Pleasure getting to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Rabley, Energy Transition and Sustainability Global Lead from Accenture.
ก็เป็นมุมมองที่เป็นประโยชน์อย่างมากจากคุณเดวิดนะคะในเรื่องของ Energy Transition เทรนด์การเปลี่ยนแปลงเชิงโครงสร้างในอุตสาหกรรม
It is time now that all businesses will have to invest in renewable energy, adapt themselves to look for a new opportunity next. We will come into the highlight part that everybody has been waiting. We will have the CEO panel discussions. We have been honored by 3 people who will tell you about how they can push forward sustainability or standing for sustainability and how sustainability characterizes.
We're going to be delving into a greatly anticipated highlight awaited by many of you here, which is the CEO panel discussion featuring 3 distinguished top executives from leading organizations who will eliminate the strategies that propel sustainable practices forward, offering their insights into the diverse perspectives and roles within their companies to achieve the ultimate goal, standing for sustainability, under the topic, how sustainability catalyzes collective actions in addressing global challenges. Today we're here to deliberate on issues that transcend business categories and geographies. These are issues that are a moral duty, but also an ecological mandate and a strategic necessity. We're talking about sustainability, a trending topic which has captured the imagination of the world, and most importantly, the boardrooms of modern corporations. Sustainability is no longer just a buzzword or an optional initiative. It has become a cornerstone for long-term success. Whether it's resource conservation, ethical sourcing, or responsible waste management, sustainability is increasingly becoming integral to business strategies worldwide. It's no wonder that most firms today have, at the very least, a basic sustainability strategy in place. As the captains of industry, we bear the immense responsibility of driving profitability and safeguarding the planet for future generations.
So let's invite all of our speakers onto the stage. Let's start off with the first speaker. Please welcome our CEO from Allnex. Please put your hands together for Mr. Miguel Mantas. Mr. Keith Wiggins, CEO, Econic Technologies Limited.
Lisa, our CEO, for this session. Now, we are grappling with a reality that is quite frankly terrifying. We have moved past the point of no return, and the world is heated with unprecedented levels. The United Nations has even revised the term of global warming and stating that we are now in the era of global boiling.
Now, given these stark realities, we'd like to pose a question to each of you. What are your strategies and framework for addressing inevitable global warming through sustainable business practices, while at the same time, the challenge of maintaining a leadership position in the global market?
Let's start off with Mr. Miguel.
Well, thank you very much for the question. The framework that we use is the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals and the transition to the circular economy. And we are in particular then focusing on 5 aspects that are derived from that, which is the reduction of emissions, sustainable resourcing, increasing energy efficiency, utilizing safer materials, and then the transition to circularity itself. We are a producer of intermediate products. You know, we are the world's largest producer of industrial coating resins. These are products that you cannot buy in a store as a private individual. You are, on the other hand, very familiar with our products in day-to-day life. We have about 10% global market share, so typically cars that are owned by you or furniture that you have at home or your cell phones will 1 in 10 be coated with our resins on a global scale. And what we do is work in collaboration with the value chain that we are in, with the end customers, with the coating formulators, in order to provide solutions that are offering ways to reduce the emissions. For example, instead of using a solvent-borne resin, you could be using a powder resin that doesn't need to dry off the solvent and create those emissions. We can use bio raw materials. A lot of resins are based, for example, on soybean oil instead of a fossil-based oil. David was asking actually in his presentation, what can you do with the PET bottle? Some of our powder resins use up to 25% of PET bottles, post-consumer PET bottles in there, and you will find it then maybe in the furniture that you have of home from a very known Scandinavian producer of furniture with 4 letters. And the same goes for safer materials. You know, we are trying to substitute away products that are considered today harmful, that in the past were not as considered as harmful. So imagine formaldehyde-free solutions, or bisphenol-free solutions, or organic metal-free solutions. And finally, on the circularity, we have, and you have it in the exposition actually, a couple of examples that we are showcasing, products that allow, at the end of life of a product, the recycling of this product to be done more efficiently. For example, by allowing the coating that is on top of the product to be decomposed, to be de-inked, and you can see these examples out there.
เดี๋ยวขอสรุปเป็นภาษาไทยสั้นๆนะครับน่าสนใจมากนะครับ
We asked the strategy from Alnex, and Mr. Miguel has explained to us that they have focused in SDGs, and there are 5 that are involved that they are focusing on. What interesting is that coating resin of Alnex is actually everywhere. 1 in 10 of the items that we are using, whether it's furniture or car, would have this coating resin from Alnex on it. So we have to think of how we can change to make it more sustainable. For example, end of life the products. So when the products reach its end of life or expiry date, we should find a solution for easier recycling. This is the company's vision. to make the world more sustainable and the concept
Sustaibility ก็สามารถชมได้ในโชว์เคสหรือภายในงานของเราด้วยนะคะ Mr. Keith what about you
Thank you very much for the opportunity an opportunity
You might
to
have to
talk
put the
about
microphone closer
Thank you an opportunity to showcase our technology iconic technology and what we do is we've taken a brilliant chemistry invention and we're building a business from it and simply our strategy is to serve our customers for them to bring better products to market so the framework that we're working on is innovation advocacy and collaboration so innovation is part of everything that we do every day as a company our focus is on making our customers successful in adopting our technology and what our technology does it takes available CO2 and it allows our customers to use the CO2 as a key component or raw material for their products now the CO2 is utilized so effectively it has a huge sustainability impact because we replace fossil-based raw materials with available CO2 so we're turning something which is regarded as a waste today into a useful raw material and if you consider that from a business perspective you're turning cost into value so there's quite a difference in the pole with regard to the utilization of CO2 from a business perspective. Now what we're also finding is that the CO2 changes the molecule and it adds extra performance to our customers. And so our customers have the ability to upgrade their product mix to differentiate their business on the to make attractive products for the value chain and for the end consumers. And we're here today to celebrate Generation X and Generation S is the future with regard to sustainable products. Consumers are making purchasing decisions based on the environmental impact of their products and industry is responding to serve that need. The last aspect of this is the cost element is that CO2 is cheaper than the fossil-based raw materials that it replaces and that makes good business sense and so from a cost perspective with scale this is a good business decision to move to transition to our technology based on performance sustainability and cost now from an advocacy perspective we've got a strong story to tell and it's important that we use our voice to get the message across to Generation S and the supply chains which serve the consumers of the future. And we are strongly endorsing or working with companies which are in the leadership position here, leading the way to move to sustainable products. And it's humbling for us to be part of their story going forward. And the last part is collaboration. And so from a collaboration perspective, we're a small early stage company. We've got fantastic people which are doing great work. But we really need to work with complex supply chains in order to be able to get to market. And that includes engineers, supply chain companies, communication companies, and the might of companies like GC, where with fantastic reach, amazing people, which get products to market. So we have to collaborate with people in the supply chain, both that are manufacturing intermediate products and the raw materials that they supply.
Thank you very much. And before I have Kun Ning give a short translation of what you said, I want to comment that I love how your logo, because your business is focused on CO2, it highlights the C and O in the name. That's
Thank you for that.
That's very noticeable.
Thank you.
เห็นด้วยเรื่องของ CO2 นะคะแล้วก็เท่าที่ฟัง
about CO2 and from listening the company focus on developing products that use or utilizes waste, we have to understand or know how to utilize this waste and change it to new products. And we have to find incentive to draw people in to buy those products. And the business also focuses on sustainability, and I think this is aligned with the capitalisms. It creates conscious consumption and create the kind of supply chain that we're looking for. Hello.
And share with two great leaders on the stage. Also, thank you so much, GC team. Congratulations. This is such an amazing event. I just get a chance to walk around before coming in. It's amazing. So many projects and initiatives. Again, can't thanks enough for a Thai sitting here. So proud to see this leading organization in Thailand, taking a leader in Thailand and also in the world. But let me start off this, right? As everyone just mentioned, globally, so if we see the 2 Celsius average temperature increase, it means that that will create so many damage in so many ways. World Bank saying that in Thailand, if that happening, 4.4 million people will lose their home, will lose their way of work, even lose their land. So this topic is a very serious topic. And this problem is for everyone, for every organization and every country, definitely, to be able to tackle this issue together. I would say that in Microsoft, we look at this as put in the mission, put it that way. We put in the mission, we're saying that we want to enable all the people, all customers, our company and the world to be able to sort of address this serious issue together without the world, I mean a beautiful world that we're living in, without the success customer. Microsoft ourselves also cannot be sustained as well. So we put in the 3 key initiatives that we want to address and making sure that we deliver the mission that we put in place. The first one, we want to taking care of our own footprint, all the carbon and GHG that we emission. Second, we also want to invest in the new innovation, new technology and new solution to address this problem together. And the third one, which is very important, that we want to making sure that we take all the learning in Microsoft, that we are working on this sustainability initiative, as well as the new innovation and technology to empower the customer, community, nation, and the world together. I give you a few examples. Today, I'm not sure that you're aware, cloud computing, the services that we provide to all the customers, if you are changing from buying your own, let's say, server and everything in your place, but you are using cloud, you could save nearly 90% saving of the carbon emission. Or even we are using AI in the digital twin to help all the operation in manufacturing, in many other places, to improve the productivity. And as everyone said, this is not about nice thing to do. We look at this sustainability related to the productivity. How we making sure that we also gain the business benefit. And definitely it creates a lot of opportunity as well. Sitting next to me, these 2 leaders, clearly a great example of the opportunity. Because it creates the new company. It creates the new business. It even creates the new job. So productivity and opportunity will be so key. And in Microsoft ourselves, we also commit ourselves into the negative carbon emission in the 2030. And we commit ourselves into using the 100% renewable energy of in our data center, 200 data center in the world. We also commit in terms of become like a zero waste, and we commit to be a positive water. So this is the clear goal and the target that we want to making sure that we not just only put in the mission, but we need to follow up with the goal, with the action, and definitely with the commitment. The framework that we are using to achieve this goal, we have like 5 R in Microsoft. First, we want to record, because we want to making sure that we need to know what carbon emission or whatever that we do, where are we today? And we need to making sure that with the record, we need to have a proper report. And with the record and report, we need to making sure that we put in the initiative to reduce, to remove, and to replace. So this is more like a framework that we use all along to tackle the issue of ourselves, and definitely we want to empower all the customer and all the people in the world. Thank you very much.
ต้องขอบพระคุณคุณธนวัฒน์เป็นอย่างสูงเลยนะคะก็ก่อน
much then he has also complimented GC for this spectacular event. One of the alarming issue is about the global warming or the temperature that is increasing all the time. Soon, if we don't work together, 4.4 million population might lose their house, lose their land, because of this boiling or global warming or global boiling. And also mention about the main mission of Microsoft. So the company has to realize about sustainability as well as their customers. And the sustainability concept will have to be responsible of the carbon footprint. But we have to also work to create productivity and opportunity. Also mentioning the 5 R's, we have to have the record. We need a record. We need to record our carbon footprint. Once we do the record, then we report, reduce, replace, and reuse. And this is Kun Thanawat concept. And I would like to also add that your commitment to become carbon negative by 2030, and have the data center using renewable energy, and being a zero waste company, I would like to compliment on your mission. And I think that this is not just a dream, but this is something that you are actually implementing. So the next question.
With a global footprint, could you elaborate on the strategies you have in place to encourage cross-border collaboration and offer support to other entities or partners within your network? And what methods could you use to facilitate a unified way forward in such a diverse and expansive business landscape? Once again, starting with Mr. Miguel.
That's a very good question. I think that it has 3 dimensions. First of all, there is an internal dimension. We are a global company. We produce in 35 factories all over the world, from New Zealand to Brazil, from Japan to Thailand to Germany, United States, etc. So we don't differentiate in how we approach our sustainability strategy by country. We have one global strategy, and we apply it, we deploy it in the same exact way in every country. So what we do in Rayong is not different than what we do somewhere in Germany or in the United States. And I think it's very important that we use those best practices in a global scale, not in a differentiated scale that will just take longer to achieve a global result. The second and maybe most important aspect is that we are, as an intermediate producer, part of complex value chains. The part of the value chain that we can influence directly is a single-digit percentage of the total, let's say, for example, carbon emission that is generated from using certain raw materials, transforming them over several steps, and then at the end, ending in a good, in a durable good like a car that everybody is using. So we have to work closely together with our customers, with our suppliers, for example, here on my left, in order to obtain raw materials that will help us generate less emissions, in the same way that we have to improve our own processes to also generate less emissions, and then work in collaboration with end-to-end customers to collectively think about what would be the best ideas in order for that product to generate the lowest possible total carbon emission. It's a very, very close collaboration. It's a collective requirement that we have. No one in this value chain can influence the total picture. To give you a generic example, 1 kilo of an industrial coating resin probably generates something like 5.5 kilos of CO2. The part that we can influence ourselves is maybe 300 grams. So very, very small, maybe less than 5%. The raw material side, we are talking about probably 60%. And we have to influence our partners, we have to work together with them to be able to generate those capabilities that will allow that transition then to take place. The last aspect of collaboration is the industry-wide collaboration. Today, and I just described one vertical chain as an example, we are not depending of buying only one car from one brand. We have many options. I think this is also what's desired in the future. So the industry has to work together to create those standards that allow also for competition to continue to take place. And this is, of course, a much larger effort where people have to collaborate, sit together, have best ideas, generate standards that then everybody can also deploy swifter than if everyone is inventing it on his own. I think this is the change of mentality that Dr. Kongrapan and Mr. Rabley have already alluded to. We need to get into that kind of a thinking in order to be also as efficient as we can in our collaboration and the generation of collective solutions.
Thank you very much, Kun Miguel. Very interesting. ที่คุณมิเกลพูดเมื่อกี้นะครับคือใช่ว่ามี strategy สำหรับแต่ละประเทศนะครับแต่เป็น one global strategy แบบทั่ว
So in summary, it's not just a strategy for one country, it's a global strategy. Wherever we have the same approach to carry out our sustainable business. And we have three factors. We have internal, that's internal global strategy. Secondly, it's the position in the chain, in the value chain, in the supply chain. Yeah, because the company is somewhere in the middle, and an impact. Say, if 1 kilo of resin will release 5 kilo of carbon, then maybe they may use only like 300 grams. But how can we affect that? It comes from choosing sustainable material, and we collaborate with our customers to work on a sustainable. And last one is industry-wide collaboration. So we work together, have a common standard. Even though we are competitors, but we have to align, because that's the only way we can work out globally.
Thank you. To build on Miguel's comments. From an iconic perspective, we work with industry leaders, and we look at supply chains on a global basis, and we serve supply chains which are growing. So the consumption of raw materials, and specifically on the sustainability element, is so important, is that as our products enhance people's lives, as they proliferate around the world, then they need to be made in a way which is sustainable. And so circular technologies, renewable carbon come to the fore going forward. So what we have to do in terms of global versus local, we have to find global solutions to be implemented on a local basis. Now consider the products though where we target, or the markets that we target, specifically the polyurethane supply chain. And polyurethanes are used in the mattresses that we sleep on, the soft furnishes that we sit on, the cars that we drive, the adhesives that hold things together, the coatings that provide longer life for the durable goods that we enjoy. So ubiquitous products which are everywhere. Now, there's no difference on a global basis with regard to the demand for those products, because they enhance people's lives and they will continue to grow. But to make them on a responsible basis, we have to work with visionary, entrepreneurial companies that are transitioning their business for the future. And hence the discussion around working to get products to market in complex supply chains. So the angle on this is another angle, is that consumers around the world are fairly unforgiving if the performance of the product isn't right, or if it costs too much, and that all needs to be worked through. So we have to have plants which are local in order to be able to supply local supply chains. And consider that again from a sustainability perspective. We as a company are doing a lot of life cycle analyses for our customers, or working with our customers on life cycle analysis of our products in their products. And without a shadow of a doubt, Scope 3 emissions are the strongest contributor to the sustainable impact of products. So local supply chains are incredibly important in order that the transportation of materials is minimized, in order that supply chains are built on a local basis to meet local needs. So the drivers are very much global. The implementation is very much on a local basis.
Okay, thank you very much คุณ Keith ก็คำตอบคือ global strategy.
Okay, so global strategy must be implemented locally, and everything receives the impact. So it actually impacts everything, you know, even the chairs that we're sitting on right now. So anyhow, sometimes, you know, consumers are not very forgiving on, you know, pricing and quality. So in order to, you know, be sustainable, we have to work with new entrepreneurs who are going to be industry changers in the field of sustainability.
Highlight that we cannot tackle this issue alone. It got to be the collaboration that we have to work together. I give you the data point, what we are working in Microsoft. When we're looking back on the sustainability report on the 2022, which is last year, Microsoft has been saving about 22.7% from the Scope 1 and Scope 2. And can you believe that? That 22.7% in Scope 1 and Scope 2 is only 4% of the overall of the Microsoft carbon emission. So we have to rely a lot on the Scope 3, which is definitely, we need to work closely with the partner, with customer, with supplier and vendor. And this is why when we look at this sort of how to tackle and how to reduce and achieve our carbon emission that I just shared earlier, we're looking at the two aspects or two approach. The first aspect is on the reinforcement. What we have done is we set up the policy to making sure and require the supplier who working with Microsoft need to reduce at least a minimum 55% of the greenhouse gas by 2030. And with this policy and the requirement, the example of 12 supplier of custom or Microsoft partner or supplier, 12 of them turn around and switching to using the renewable energy. And about 6 of 12 is 100% using renewable energy. This is an example of the reinforcement that we try to making sure that without the support and collaborate with the partner or supplier in this case, we won't be able to achieve our target and our goal. On another side, it is on the empowerment or encouragement. So how we can making sure that we take the learning in Microsoft. Now Microsoft put it as a services called Cloud for Sustainability. And this Cloud for Sustainability will help the customer, either small, medium or large, private and public, to be able to record and the report scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3. So we take the learning of ourselves, put it that as a services, become a sustainability as services to everyone. Another example of the encouragement or empowerment, Microsoft also put up the $1 billion climate innovation fund, which is today has been used about 600 million already, still 400 million left. Please, reaching out to us to see that if you have any good idea or any innovation that you want to partner with, that is another 400 million up on sort of partnership that we could work. So with both reinforcement and empowerment, it's very critical that how we can making sure that we achieve the goal that we put in place together. That's just a short one that I want to share you.
ทีมเยี่ยมมากเลยนะครับคือ
Okay, that sounds great. That's you work with the suppliers. You have to reduce greenhouse gases by like 50% within so and so years. That you have to work with Microsoft. So there are 12 partner companies that took the challenge and used renewable energy, and out of that 12, 6 is using 100% renewable energy. Okay, so that means this is not possible, right, if you don't have this kind of partnership. Okay, we also have cloud sustainability, which is wow. So, to actually put into practice the 5 R's where, the customers can implement as well as you can also implement. So it's actually sustainability as a service. So, we have software as a service, but now sustainability as a service, which is new. And then we also have empowerment, where we have a $1 billion funding dedicated to climate change. And right now we already used 600, right? We still have another 400 million remaining. So if any of you here, you want to partner with Microsoft, come on, propose to Microsoft. So we actually have 400 million to actually drive sustainability forward together. And this is very appreciated.
What immediate concrete steps will your organizations take within the next year to become pillars of sustainability and lead the global fight against climate change?
Thank you. First of all, when we talk about sustainability and what we are doing, I think already mentioned, it's very, very numerous different things, and it's many numerous different things that have to be done in order to get the goods delivered at the end. Maybe it's impossible in a couple of minutes to talk about everything. I don't want definitely to do that, but you think you have in here in the picture a couple of selected targets that I chose to illustrate a little bit what we are doing very concretely right now. In the total, which encompasses all dimensions, Allnex is an EcoVadis Platinum rated company, meaning that we are on the top 1% worldwide in terms of deployment of sustainability practices, everything that you can consider associated with sustainability. I chose 3 here that I believe are particularly interesting. One, of course, is the gold standard in terms of climate warming, which is how much CO2 we are really reducing. We started measuring in the year 2018. This is the baseline. And versus that baseline today, we are already 23.8% lower in absolute terms, despite business growth, versus what we were in the year 2018. Versus last year, we're 4% better. So from 19 to 23 point something percent, against the target by 2030 of 30%, probably meaning that we will exceed the target, we will be there faster, in our opinion. The second element is renewable energy, and it was mentioned here quite frequently already. We started in 2018 with all the energy we consumed being non-renewable at the time. Today, we are 45.5% renewable in every energy we consume. So, Your Excellency, if we were a country, we would be slightly ahead of Finland, just slightly, which of course is much easier for a company than for a country. But our ambition, of course, is to therefore make it also much faster. So by 2030, we want to be 85% plus renewable. And next year, because you asked concretely, we want to go over the 50% mark with deployment of several arrays of photovoltaic in our plants. And we just also had our owners approve a deployment of a wind turbine in one of our factories in Europe, for example. A third one that I believe is maybe the most impacting is we look at our portfolio as an intermediate producer, and according to the 5 dimensions I mentioned in the beginning, try to understand how much are we the benchmark, how much are we the leader with our products in terms of enabling sustainability. And we have conducted sustainability analysis based on the principles of the World Business Council for Sustainability Development, and have had external parties validate these analyses. And when we did the benchmark, we found out that we were about 20-something% of our products were truly sustainable, in terms of sustainability, the best option in the market. It's about beating the best option, continuing to beat the best option. So we set ourselves a target that 50% of our business should be in such leadership positions by 2030. Right now, we are at 30.8% in this measurement last month. And for about 1 year ago, it was 28%. And next year, my aim is to be around the 35% mark.
Very, very interesting. เมื่อถามถึงเรื่องของกลยุทธ์แบบเด้ง
We asked about the intermediate strategy to tackle sustainability issue. As the leader for sustainable business, how are we going to tackle that issue? So he has mentioned about sustainability that has a lot of elements in it, but the elements are all necessary that we have to put into practice. First of all is reducing CO2, and we got the example that we have a baseline in 2018 until today we have reduced about 23%, and in 2030 we're going to achieve 25% 2030, we're going to achieve 30%. So about renewable energy, the company has achieved 45.4 renewable energy within the business, and the next year target is 50% for renewable energy. And the target for 2030 is 80%, which is on track. And the benchmark, the products of Allnex, there are 20% products of Allnex which are completely or entirely sustainable, and the target is to reach 50% of all the products.
Immediate steps.
Impact and timing. The time is absolutely right, and kudos to GC in terms of events like this. It makes the difference in terms of accelerating the change which is needed. If you look at our polyurethanes business, or our products going into the polyurethane industry, then effectively our technology saves up to 30% of the carbon which is used in those in polyol products. So effectively, for every 1 ton of carbon that's utilized, we save our customers, or our technology saves our customers, 3 tons of carbon, which is really significant if you look at 11 million tons of polyol for the polyurethanes industry as produced every year, and that number's growing based on the need for these products in the market. We have a second technology which is rapidly coming to market, which serves the consumer, fast-moving consumer goods market, which is surfactants. And surfactants are used in water-based formulations, and most formulations these days are water-based. And essential products that we use for cleaning our homes, cleaning ourselves, cleaning our in industries, personal care products, cosmetic products, paints and coatings. So the surfactants industry is growing fast. In that particular business, then our impact, it goes from 30% to up to 70%. Now, in combination with other renewable technologies, for both polyols and for surfactants, we can get to net zero carbon position on those molecules, which is really, really significant. But we're at the beginning of that journey. So next year, in terms of what are we going to do about it, in terms of practical steps, next year you'll see CO2 containing polyols and polyurethane systems available on the marketplace. So plants are being built now or retrofitted in North America and built in China. And in China, significant multi-thousand ton facilities are being built at the moment, which are due online in 2024. So effectively, those products will start to become available in the marketplace, and we believe that they will be successful and there will be a natural cascade effect from there. On the surfactants business, then there'll be customer trials and significant consumer customer trials happening around the world, which will be proving our technology, validating our technology, and then it's up to us to bring in the right partners to make sure that we connect the supply chains to effectively bring our products to market. So the impact is really real, and the timing is right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Keith. And you mentioned about the 1 ton of carbon which is used results in 3 tons of savings for the impact, correct? Okay, ก็คือที่ในการ
So in this industry, when you use 1 ton of carbon, you will be able to save the emission 3 tons of carbon emission. So there are 2 components. First is polyol or polyurethane, which which will create a new capacity, a new plant in China to increase the sustainability, and then there's also the surfactants, which is another part or another component, which is a fast-moving consumers goods used in household products. We use it across the world, and we hope to be able to save about 70% of the emission. Apart from that, we are hoping to achieve net zero using polyoil and surfactants as well.
For the coming year?
In terms of measurability for next year, we're just getting started next year. Okay. So we haven't got that number fixed yet, but it starts to be initiated in 2024. It's a pivotal year for us.
Okay. ก็คือการที่จะ
So to achieve net zero will be started in 2024. Thank you very much. For Kun Thanawat.
Saying that sustainability is a journey. It's definitely not a one-off. And as I shared you earlier, Microsoft is we putting the carbon negative in the 2025. I forget to mention, that is another key goal that we put up as well. So we want to take out all the carbon emission since we opened the company from the 1975 to become zero in 2050. So this is the commitment that everyone in Microsoft we sign up, from engineering, from sales, from the support team. We want to making sure that, as I mentioned earlier, we want to see the world is beautiful as of today. We want to making sure that the customer has been success. Without that, we won't be able to sustain. I keep saying this all the time, that this is going to be a together, that we have to tackle this issue. What I would recommend as my last statement here, I think it is very important that every organization need to have a very clear goal. You heard from all these two executives, it's a very clear goal that they want to achieve, what percentage that they want to do, how much that they want to reduce. I think clear goal is very important in every organization to tackle, in every nation to tackle. And not only that, one of the guiding principles in Microsoft, we take it on this subject on the transparency. We want to making sure that we announce this goal to the public. And that's the commitment that we want to do. Like every year right now in Microsoft, we make the announcement on what progress that we have made in the sustainability. This is something that I feel as an employee, I feel obligated as well. I feel passionate to this goal. I want to contribute to this goal. Personally, I have the 2-year-old daughter. I want to making sure that my daughter seeing this beautiful world like what I have seen. That is another maybe 53 years from now. She is 2, I'm 55. But that is what I really want to help her, and how we can making sure that we support this goal together. My last but not least, I think the quote is here. Meeting the need of the present without taking away from the future generation. That is the quote that I want to leave with everyone. And again, thank you so much for GC for such an amazing event today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. ก็คุณธนวัฒน์นะคะ
Kun Thanawat has said that sustainability is like a journey, and during the journey we have to work together to create sustainability. And what I felt very impressed is the suggestions that each organization needs to have a clear goal. Once we have a clear goal and know exactly what are we going to do, the target of our carbon reduction, and how we're going to achieve those goals, and Microsoft itself have to announce the goal to the public, because once you have announced your goal, it's like a commitment that you have to really achieve that goal. And I like the last saying about being a parent and we have kids. it's very simple. We want them to see the beautiful world we have seen and how we're going to achieve that. How we're going to let the future generation see the beautiful world we have seen. What I feel impressed is that to have a clear goal and also to announce it to the public, to know the organization clear goal. So Microsoft is not going to be carbon neutral, but they will become carbon negative, and that's the goal. And that's actually a goal that started in 1970s. So the carbon that created impact since then will become neutral in 2050 by
been carbon neutral for the lifetime of their company สำหรับองค์กรใหญ่
For a big company like Microsoft to have such a clear goal like this and are achieving it is incredible. And I think it should inspire many other organizations. So it's like you have announced it in this event. So
your strategies, your views and your experience ก็ขอเสียงปรบมือดังๆนะคะอีกสักครั้งนึงให้กับ CEO ของเราทั้ง3ท่านนะคะขอบพระคุณ
Speakers, thank you so much.
วันนี้เราก็
Today we have learned a lot and we have seen each CEO's point of view and how we can create sustainability in the business and in collaboration. So we both, maybe we work in a different field, but we get some ideas as well. I work in the education sector, working in the school. We have the goal as well to adapt or use this sustainable goal and teach it to the students. I think this is very impressive.
Something that we do is we're not only teaching about sustainability but putting it into practice and also trying to make sure that our communities both within the school and around us are learning from these best practices. So being here today has been truly inspiring to hear about these efforts of global companies who are balancing the need to meet their shareholder returns with saving our planet.
ก็ต้องขอบพระคุณนะคะท่าน CEO ทุกครั้งรวมถึงทุกท่านด้วยนะคะก่อนจะพักเวทีนะคะก็อยากจะขอเรียนเชิญทุกท่านค่ะร่วมกันตอบแบบสอบถามออนไลน์นะคะการจัดงานในครั้งนี้ซึ่งเดี๋ยวเรามีขึ้นแล้วนะคะ
By scanning this QR code, this will be the guide to improve our next event.
I'd like to invite everyone to please participate in an online questionnaire. You see the QR codes up there. If you could just for a moment pick up your phone, scan that code, and fill out a very short online questionnaire about the event organization. This will really help us to guide future improvements. And please know, your opinions are very much valued by all of us.
และประมาณ 13:30 น.นะคะที่ห้องประชุมแห่งนี้ค่ะเราจะได้กลับมาพบกันอีกครั้งหนึ่งกับเซสชั่น Act Now นะคะการลงมือทำขององค์กรหน่วยงานเพื่อลด GHG และการก้าวเข้าสู่ Net Zero ค่ะ
That's right. We'll be back here at 1:30 p.m. in this hall for the session called Act Now: Achievements and Practices by Organizations and Entities to Decrease Greenhouse Gases and Move Forward to Net Zero.
ส่วนเวที End to End นะคะ Waste Management Stage เนี่ยจะเป็นเรื่องราว Plastic Waste Collaboration Building a Sustainable Future ค่ะเป็นภาคปฏิบัติของความร่วมมือจากทุกภาคส่วนในการลดพลาสติกใช้แล้วเพื่ออนาคตที่ยั่งยืนค่ะ
That's the end-to-end waste management stage, where the focus will be on plastic waste collaboration, building a sustainable future. This session emphasizes the collaborative efforts across sectors to reduce used plastic and work towards a sustainable future.
แล้วเวทีด้านนอกตรงข้ามเวทีของเราเนี่ยนะคะเป็น Genesis Stage นะคะทุกท่านก็สามารถที่จะร่วมกันโหวต Collection Upcycling Upstyling รักโลกกับดีไซน์โดนใจปีที่4ค่ะจากไอเดียสร้างสรรค์ของแบรนด์คนรุ่นใหม่กว่า15 Collection ได้นะคะรวมถึงมีแฟชั่นโชว์บนรันเวย์ความยั่งยืนกับ Collection ใหม่ล่าสุด 2023 นะคะจาก Up to You ซึ่งเราก็ได้ Gen S ค่ะคนรุ่นใหม่ค่ะ First กับข้าวตังเนี่ยมาร่วม Present Collection ใหม่ในครั้งนี้ด้วยค่ะ
That's right. The Gen S stage outside is where we can participate in voting for 15 collections featured in the Upcycling Year 4, crafted by our innovative new gen brands. Also, you're invited to enjoy a sustainable runway show, which features the latest 2023 collection from Up to You. The show will showcase Gen S top stars like First and Kaotang as the collection's presenters. And once again, please, before you go, we really would like to invite you to participate in our online survey about this event. It really does mean a lot to us to get your opinions.
แล้วเดี๋ยวเราจะกลับมาพบกันใหม่นะคะเวลา 13:30 น.นะคะกับทั้ง3เวทีของเรานะคะ GC Sustainable Living Symposium 2023 We Are Gen S ค่ะ
Yes, we look forward to seeing you again after the break at 1:30 p.m. on our 3 stages within the GC Sustainable Living Symposium 2023. We are Gen S.
ขอบพระคุณนะคะแล้วก็วันนี้ลากันไปก่อนในช่วงนี้นะคะสวัสดีค่ะ